We are live.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Matt Hilton Show. We are live and thank you for tuning in. And if you are a new viewer or if you're tuning in for the first time, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and like our Facebook page, the Matt Hilton Show. If you have been around for a while, and I don't know how long October has been Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but this is the beginning. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we are in pink. The studio audience is in pink. Welcome, studio audience. Thank you for being here. Yeah. And we are joined by someone who I think you are going to find very fascinating. She has an inspiring story or story of her life to share with us today. And that is Dr. Terry Quinn. Dr. Terry Quinn has been a breast surgeon for the past 30 years. And she is a pioneer in that industry. In that field, and we just want to welcome her today. And you'll also notice that she is Miss Texas Senior America 2023. Welcome, Dr. Terry Quinn.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
My joy.
Wow. So I asked her to wear her crown, her tiara,
Yes.
and her sash, and just to let everybody know. I mean, isn't she beautiful?
Aw,
Yes.
Thank you.
And the question was asked before the show, what are the qualifications to be Miss Texas Senior America?
Well, first of all, you have to be 60 or above. There are 4 categories. You have to be a resident of Texas.
Okay.
There are 4 categories of which we are judged by, One of them is wearing the evening gown, which is not very hard to do, but a little tricky actually, walking in a high heel and a long gown.
Oh.
We actually take some lessons about how to do that.
Lessons. Okay.
Yeah, actually you would think that everybody can walk in a gown and turn around, but you know what? They can't, okay? So that's one. Number 2, we have the philosophy of life, which is a 35-second segment where you give the philosophy of your entire life, and you cannot go over that time. If so, you get dinged by the judges. And that may sound simple too, but trying to squeeze 60 years of life in 35 seconds without messing up and go, wait, what? Oh my God, no, I didn't mean that. What I really meant to say was.
And that just took 5 seconds
that
of your
took 5
time.
seconds,
Yeah.
and all that counts too.
Sure. So
you have to organize that.
if we can pause for a second,
Okay.
what is your philosophy of life, Dr.
Okay,
Quinn?
here we go. Kintsugi is the Japanese art form of repairing broken pottery with fine gold or silver. As a result, the restored product becomes even more valuable than the original. I embrace the concept behind Kintsugi as it aligns perfectly with my faith, that although I am imperfect and I have known brokenness, there is beauty in my restoration. And when the Lord restores me, I am made perfect, complete in every way.
Fantastic.
And I actually mean that. That
Yeah.
that actually was significant to me, because there have been time periods where things didn't look so good and felt maybe thrown away at this phase of life, et cetera. So the fact that we can be better in our latter days is actually very encouraging to me.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about, you said kintsugi, right? So what is it?
Yes.
Where does that word originate from?
It's a Japanese word, and it
Okay.
has different pronunciations. Kintsugi, depends
Okay.
on who you ask. And I actually looked at all those versions, and they're all accurate pronunciations. But it's a Japanese art form.
Okay. Fantastic. And how did you go about finding that word? Like, did you go into Google and like say,
did not.
So how did you
I
hear
think
about it?
I actually was listening to a podcast with Jay Shetty. You know,
Okay.
he's a former monk, and now he's a motivational speaker. And he was talking about this concept with relationships, and that many times we begin to believe that as the times go by and we experience brokenness in relationships or challenges, the workplace, wherever it stems from, that we can be put back together and we can actually be better for having had the broken experience. And I thought, I'm going to write that down, because that's a concept that we all need to incorporate in our lives, that we can bounce back from things and be better than we were when we started.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So I tucked it away, not knowing that I would ever be competing in the Miss Texas pageant. I just tucked it away. I think it's a God thing.
You know, I teach some classes, and there's an illustration that I use as well. Is, you know, you can't always stay at the top of the mountain. You know, the top of the mountain is where it's beautiful. You have a great scenery, but nothing grows at the top of the mountain.
Absolutely
right?
true.
The things that grow are in the valley.
Yes.
And I believe, to what you just said, you have to go through a valley at different times in your life to grow.
Yes.
In order to get to the next mountaintop.
I absolutely
Right?
agree with you on that, Ken.
Yeah, yeah.
Matt.
Thank you. So as we move forward, did you, and we'll get to the other two
Categories?
parts, categories.
Okay. Uh-huh.
But did you always know that you wanted to be in a beauty pageant?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was about 9 years old, or 10, I was watching the Miss Teenage Black America pageant along with my cousin and my mother. At that time, the pageants were segregated, and all these little black girls came out and were parading around in cute dresses and doing, you know, activities and talents, etc. And my cousin said to my mother, "Hey, Aunt Evelyn, you ought to get Terry in one of these pageants." And without even blinking, she said, "She doesn't have any talent." And it was like, huh. And I wasn't even offended that I didn't even have any talent. I just thought you were born with talent or you weren't. You know, I never thought about, like, you know, you could get me a talent, you could help me get a talent. So I knew then that I wasn't going to be in any pageants. And I never was. And so all my focus was on education, and because that is exactly, my mother's a teacher and come from a family of teachers, and they emphasized what we knew inside and not what was on the outside.
So what got you to this point of competing for Miss Texas Senior America?
Well, you know, Matt, after you finish proving to everybody that you are smart and you can do things, then you really don't care so much about what people think about the outside.
True,
and that
right.
kind of got to that part. I was encouraged to participate by former Miss Texas, Miss Joyce Brown. She's an amazing advocate and supporter. I call her my handler. And she absolutely encouraged me, I would say even coerced me to participate by pointing out what the platform could do for me and the patients, the women that I could reach from the platform.
Oh, and so what do you do? What is, when you say reach other people, what does that look like?
Reach them how?
Yeah.
Well, what I've done my whole life is to take care and educate women about the treatment of breast cancer. I want to be a beacon, and I have been, I believe, of information to let women know that this is a disease that we can get on top of. We can survive it. We can get past it. But it is essential that we do early detection through mammograms, and then not only when we get the diagnosis, that we follow through with treatment options and our plans. And oftentimes women, not too many times, women are stymied by the weight of being diagnosed with breast cancer. We got survivors in the audience. I know that they relate to that it can be paralyzing. But we got to get past that, because there is hope on the other side and survivorship. The survivorship for breast cancer stage 1 and stage 2 is 95%. So there's no reason we can't survive this disease, but we've got to get the word out there that women still need to screen, in spite of what you may hear on TV periodically. Screening mammograms do save lives, and that we can survive this disease with early detection. And I know that being Miss Texas has allowed me to do that more, to get the word out more. The fact that I'm sitting here next to you means I'm getting more exposure to get that same message out.
That's right.
So thank you for that.
Well, and thank you for the message that you are sharing with others.
Yes.
going back to your college years, deciding to go to med school, did you have someone in the family that was a doctor, that was someone that you looked up to? Are you someone who changed the trajectory for future generations to come? Like, what is that part of your story?
I had an older sister that was in the medical field. She was a nurse, and then also became what they used to call a certified nurse anesthetist, and that was in the 70s. And she's 15, 16 years older than myself. In fact, she named me, and she championed the idea that I should not go to nursing school, but that I should go to medical school. Okay. And I thought, well, you look like you're doing pretty good. She was working in California. She was administering anesthesia to plastic surgeons who were doing implants and so forth, and coming home with a wad of money in her hand. I thought, that looks like my jam right there, what you're doing. And so, but she was really kind of the one that might have been more proactive. My parents were kind of like, just finish college, just do that, and the rest is up to you, but we need you to finish school. So probably my sister Kitty kind of got me pointed in that direction. But at some point, as you know, you have to assume that yourself. You can't go on someone else's wishes for only so long.
That's right.
And I was a biology major, didn't know what I was going to do with that. I certainly didn't want to be a teacher. And I started thinking about, well, what can I do with this? And medicine seemed like the next logic. Sometimes when you're in school, you're just going along the path. You don't really know where you're going, especially at 20, 21. You just know you're moving along. And that's kind of, I was on the conveyor belt to medical school. And after I got in, it became clear after a couple of years that I was really interested in the surgical career.
Okay. And in the surgical career, like, you have really carved out a niche within that surgical field, right? So
yes.
How did you get into that aspect or that field?
Well, when you're in medical school, Matt, it really doesn't matter what you're interested in. You all go through the same process. You graduate with a degree, and then you choose a residency type. Okay. Mine was general surgery. The general surgery track is particularly arduous and grueling, and it is typically 5 years. I did a year research, so that was 6 years. And then I did a specialization in breast cancer, which was my 7th year. So if you add that all up, which I have many times, it was 15 years from the time I finished high school to the time I got my first job.
Before you got your first job?
Before I got someone to pay me instead of paying to go to school, yes. So it's quite a journey, which is probably why I'm 10 years older than most people who have children. I feel like I lost 10 years. Like, there was a decade that just wasn't mine. It was all training. So like a lot of my friends, they have kids who are, now married with children and things like that. And I probably should, but that darn 10 years got in the way. And so now here I am with no grandchildren and, kids who are just now out of college. So,
okay. So no grandchildren yet?
No, other than one that I kind of took on as my own. He's not biologically mine, but I couldn't love him anymore.
There we go.
Him. So if you're watching, Chauncey, Gigi loves you. Okay.
What was that like, being a woman entering into that surgical field?
Well, I think if I had been in the East Coast, it might have been a little smoother transition. But in the 80s, a woman going into general surgery at the University of Louisville was sort of an enigma. It was not common, and certainly there were never any black women in that program before. It was kind of hard-nosed and hardcore, and so imagine like the whole scenes from A Few Good Men. Okay, that. It was almost like military, and so it was pretty tough. And I got asked a lot, "Why are you here?" I think it was anticipated that I might get pregnant and leave the program. A lot of people do. I was married at the time, and my then husband was also a resident as well. So the attrition rate is actually quite high in surgery anyway, and it's a little higher for women. So I think there was a lowered expectation that I would finish strong. But there were quite a few colorful challenges along the way. I've actually thought about writing memoirs about it, but I haven't yet. Maybe you can help me do that.
Well, so I want to dig into that a little more. So let's talk about those challenges, right? So
Okay.
is there a challenge and I guess the first question I have is, do you feel like those questions of why are you here came from a man to a woman, or because you were black?
Primarily because of being a female, I think. As I said, my then husband was also there, and he didn't get it quite as much as I did. He's African American. But being a woman in a traditionally male program, and a specialty in general, and it's still somewhat like that, but not nearly as much, because many, many women are going into surgery programs nowadays, but it wasn't quite so common in the early 80s or mid 80s. So I would get that question, and I think they actually meant it with just pure curiosity rather than with venom. Okay. There was like a, this is, how odd that you should be here. Where are you going with this? You know, and I told you about that conveyor belt. I wasn't really sure where I was going either, but I figured I'm on this, and I got in. It was a very competitive program, and I was really excited about the training I was getting. So,
what was your response when people would ask and question why you were there?
I would say I'm here for the same thing that you are.
Okay.
I'm going to be a general surgeon, which is what I thought at the time. I didn't really imagine that I would do general surgery forever, but everything came as a challenge, and now the challenge was to finish this, and I was determined to finish it if I wanted it or not. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a real competitive edge to most surgeons. It's very, very intense, and they have many, many different sides. Mm-hmm. I'll just say that.
Okay.
And
so, can you share with us a challenge that comes to mind that you had when you were in your residency and that you had to overcome?
Well, one of the problems that you have in general surgery, period, is that when you come out of medical school, you so want to be competent, but yet you don't have any experience. So how are you going to be competent with things and appear confident, because that's so important, when you have so little experience? And so one of the first challenges that I had to embrace was the fact that I really don't know very much, and that it's okay, and that I need to ask for help. So that was the first thing. And one of the best resources was actually the seasoned nurses. A physician who comes out who does not take the advice of a seasoned nurse is a fool. Your road will be very difficult if you do not accept the fact that there are many people who, they may not have the degrees and the titles that you do, but every one of them knows very much what they're doing. And they all can add to you and your learning curve. And so it was challenging accepting the fact that I didn't know anything when I was so used to excelling and being in the top of the class and being the one with the answers, et cetera, and suddenly you just feel so helpless. And then there's just this overwhelming duty to do a good job, the heaviness of knowing that lives are in your hands and you're so junior. It takes a while to really take that on and be able to handle some of the pressure that went with that too. And then you've got people around you doubting you on top of that. It just adds another layer of stress, and yeah, it was challenging.
How do you get past that? How is there self-talk that you give yourself? Is there, because you can't fake it till you make it.
No, you cannot. Not in surgery, you get exposed.
No,
yeah.
Right. So what did you do?
You have to know who you are. So fortunately, I have a very strong sense of self-worth, which came from my family pouring into me through the years. And I don't mean about my talent for shows, obviously not that way, but just like, you are fine. You are complete. You are loved. You're enough. All those things that were really not said verbally. I didn't come from a very expressive family in terms of demonstrating love affectionately, outwardly. But there were many ways that they affirmed me so that when I went and was facing some of these challenges, you kind of turn inwardly and you remember who you are. You remember whose you are. I had my faith supporting me, reminding me that, you got this, right? And then it was nothing for me to call my mother from the doctor's lounge and cry about something that had happened, something that I failed to do, maybe the way that somebody talked to me. And she basically would say, get back on that horse. They talked about Christ and he was perfect. Get back on. So that was just, I had amazing family support through the years. I still have them. Hi, family.
And that is so important, right, for anybody, right, to have some sort of a support system around them.
Absolutely.
And I would assume that breast cancer survivors who are in the audience and those that are viewing and tuning in today, that it's important for them to have a support system too.
Absolutely.
So
that's right, it is.
As you went into general surgery, right, and you started performing surgery, how did you arrive at where you are today?
Well, let me also say that performing surgery is such a high. It is such an exhilaration. I can't even explain how it feels to create such an immediate impact on patients' lives, and the gratification that comes from it it's a high, and you chase it. I guess it would be like jumping out of a plane for some people. Well, my main operating day is Tuesday, and all my family knows that you're on your way to your happy place, and I go, yes, I am. And as far as I'm concerned, I would stay in the OR, the operating room, all day and have people come down to me and operate on them and then see them later in the office. But it is by far the most exhilarating thing. Wait, what was your question?
How did you arrive at being a breast?
All right, so you're chasing that high, as we were talking about. But in general surgery, you're up all night sometimes, and you're coming in the middle of the night, et cetera. And then at the same time, there was a lot of, when I did my year of research during my residency, I actually was in the lab with one of my professors who was a surgical oncologist, and his specialty was all of cancer, all of oncology, but we used to have these very complex discussions about the treatment of breast cancer, which at that time was just emerging as a subspecialty of general surgery. It was not before that.
Okay.
And he actually was the one that suggested that I consider that as an area of specialty, and especially as a woman. And so that's how I started digging around about how do I go and train? Because, places like MD Anderson, Memorial Sloan Kettering, these major cancer centers, they were all geared towards general surgical oncology. So you would do the colons, the livers, pancreas, big cancers like that, breast as well. But the breast surgical oncology program that I ended up at only dealt with breast. And you know where it was? Right here in Dallas, Texas. And that's why I live in Dallas.
Okay.
That's why I came. That was the only place in the country that you could go to train in breast cancer at that time.
Okay.
That's
and this
a little
was
known
back
fact.
in the
1994.
Okay, back in the 90s. Okay. And I would assume that technology has improved substantially since then.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming too that there are times when you go in and probably early on, before technology is where it is today, you go in and you find something that you weren't expecting.
That's not too common anymore, as you pointed out. But on occasion, we have had situations earlier in my career where you have a tumor that's a little larger, maybe a little more adherent. The breast sits on the pec. It doesn't have muscle in it. A lot of people don't know that. So doing Pec exercises does not lift your breast. I've got people that can help you with that if you want. It's not going to happen at the gym, okay? Yay for options.
So it's not going to happen in the gym?
No, so doing that, no, that won't help that, okay. But there are times where with the breast sitting upon the chest wall, the tumor can actually penetrate the posterior aspect of the breast and adhere to the muscle. And we don't see that so much anymore without knowing it, because we now almost use MRI for everybody, and we don't see that so more. But every now and then you'd see something, that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
It might change the course of the operation, but that's not too common anymore.
What's next for you?
Well, I can tell you what I threw on my vision board. How about that?
Let's go with
that. Because I understand that if you write down your goals, they're more likely to happen.
That's right.
Okay, so I really want to, as I go through this next decade of my life of practicing, I want to continue to serve the people and operate, because I told you it is my favorite thing, okay? But I also would like to have my own show.
Oh, really?
Are you looking for a co-host?
Well, yeah.
And if nothing else, maybe be a correspondent, or maybe a medical expert once a quarter, once a week, or something like that. Because even past the time that I will ever be operating, I believe there's a lot of information that I have that I can share with the broader audience.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's one of them.
All right.
Yes.
That's one of them. So hold that thought.
Okay.
Because we are going to have our sponsor come up today from Nico Blue Design and Boutique. Yeah. So Kim, come on up, Kim. Do you have one of the bags? So Nico Blue Designs and Boutique is located. Their boutique is located in South Lake, which is a community here in the DFW area. And so, Kim is here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her boutique and what she has brought for our studio audience members. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for letting us be here today.
Yes, ma'am.
We are so excited about supporting and sponsoring the show today. The boutique is actually located in South Lake, Texas, but you would never find us unless we get out and do these things or in the community. We are in a really cute contemporary warehouse back off Continental Boulevard. The address is 1207 Timberline Court, and that is in South Lake, Texas. We also are on the web, and our website is Nikko, Nikko, BLU Designs.com. Do you think I do that often? Because I have to always tell the address.
It's at the bottom of the screen right now, too.
Yep. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. And but yeah, so we have our boutique there where we carry clothes. The jewelry line is actually mine, so that's how I actually started out, was making my own jewelry line, and we have all kinds of clothes and shoes and gifts, and we have about 1,700 square feet, and it is packed full.
Wow. So one of the clothing lines that you carry is Magnolia Pearl.
Magnolia Pearl, which I'm actually wearing a jacket today.
There you go.
So this jacket is by Magnolia Pearl. We have a lot of Magnolia Pearl in the warehouse. So if you can't find it in our warehouse, then you're not going to find it probably anywhere.
Okay. Good to know. And what do you have in the bag for our studio audience members?
So today we brought a piece of jewelry from the store. We did pink for Breast Cancer Month, and they are all different. But the one that I actually have in here is, I don't even know. This one is actually a jade, and this one's a light pink, but we have dark pink and fuchsia and all shades of pink, but everybody in the audience will get one today.
Great. Thank you so much, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for being here. And also today's show is sponsored by me. So Hilton Realty Advisors, we are residential realtors here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we are here to help you with all your real estate needs through those life transitions. So everybody has transitions in life, whether it's death, divorce, marriage, birth, whatever it may be. So Hilton Realty Advisors is here to help you and anyone you know. So my number is 214-632-1020. 214-632-1020. And call me anytime, text me, especially too if you happen to know of anybody that's a fascinating person that has an inspiring story. We're always looking for great people to interview. So now going back to our guest today, Dr. Terry Quinn is here with us, and she's the reigning Miss Texas Senior America. And yeah, she's got that wave down, right?
I have to do that.
Yeah, don't go above the crown, is
Exactly.
that right? Yeah. So when is the Miss America?
Senior
America, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When is that?
Thank you for asking. That will be held October 15th through the 19th, which is a Monday through a Thursday in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at the Tropicana Hotel. Okay. We still have availability. The rates are very low because we get discounts because we're seniors.
There we go.
Yes.
Love it.
And because there's 49 contestants, Ken.
Wow.
I keep calling you Ken.
That's
Matt.
okay.
Yes.
I'll answer whatever you
know
I know who I am.
Okay. There are 49 contestants,
Okay.
and they're coming from all the states are representative except for one.
Okay.
And there's so many, and they have to do the 4 areas, so we might as well get to those other 2. So we talked about.
Let's get to those other
right,
2.
so we talked about the philosophy of life and
The
the
evening gown.
And then there's a talent portion.
Oh, what's your talent?
If I tell it, you're going to make me do it?
Of course, no. I won't make you do it today.
Okay. It was tap dancing.
Tap dancing.
Yes, and I'm not
Okay.
even a tap dancer. I didn't start taking lessons till I was 53.
What?
Right. How about that?
Yeah. So tell me more about
Hold on,
that.
new tricks, huh? Tell you more about it?
Yeah.
This is
You've got to
again,
have other talents.
not demonstrable.
Oh.
Not on
Okay,
stage.
not on stage.
Anybody want to volunteer for surgery?
A surgery
with
on
no
stage. There we
anesthesia?
go, yeah.
No anesthesia, right? I'm also a tennis player, but you can't show that either.
Can't show that either. Okay. So tap dancing.
So I did
Okay.
tap dancing, right? And that was one of those things like, you know, you see it and you're like, oh, that looks like fun. I think I'll learn to do that. And I took a class. It was free at a church. That was my kind of my intro. Again, the Miss Texas pageant is not on my horizon.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked like fun.
Okay.
And so I got, I'm certainly not a dancer, but I enjoy dancing. It's like skipping. It makes me happy. I love music. And I got a good choreographer, a young one, you know, one that said, go ahead and kind of push me a little bit. Yeah, don't give me what you think is like the old lady version of tapping, you know, because that's the age appropriate thing. Go ahead and see if I can meet you where you might try to take me. And she's very good at it. Her name is Allison.
Okay.
Hey, Allison, I hope
Hey,
you're
Allison.
watching. Yeah.
She's doing a lot of shout outs today.
Yes, all right, sorry.
No,
That's
do
right.
not apologize.
It's not my
great.
show,
I
right?
love it.
Exactly,
No,
okay.
I love it. Hopefully all these people are tuning in, they're
Yes.
sharing on their page,
Exactly.
they're, you know,
Or-
it's all
or they
good. They're
will.
subscribing.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So when you have the pageant coming up,
Right.
you know, mid-October here, and just, I mean, that's what, next week?
Next week.
Yeah. How can we view and support you, like, and cheer for you here from Texas?
Well, if you can't come to New Jersey, if you insist on not coming to New Jersey, we will be on, I know it'll be on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't think it's broadcast live. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think it's live streamed. But every show that, every Miss Texas Senior America, as well as probably Senior America, is on YouTube from previous years, if you wanted to see kind of what goes on there. And may I also invite you, Matt, as well as our audience and anyone listening, to the upcoming Miss Texas Senior America pageant, which will be Saturday, October 28th, in Richardson, Texas, at the Hilton. So it's right down the street.
I
You
live in
know,
Richardson.
You can walk.
I
know?
could walk. Are you going to be there?
I'm going to be there because you know what?
What?
I
You're a
have
judge?
to give away my crown.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Someone's going to take it from me, and I'm going to put it on them.
On them.
And then, yes, I'm going to slink away into the background, hopefully wearing the Miss Senior America
There we go.
crown. you know.
Yes. Well, I would love to know more information about that, and I'll have Kathy reach out to you, and
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I would love to go.
Yeah, you'll have your people call my people.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Yeah, okay.
If you weren't a surgeon,
Yes.
what would you be doing?
I hope I'd be an actress.
Oh, tell me more about that.
No, there's nothing more to tell. It's just
Nothing
what I
more
want. I've got no experience. It just seems like fun, and I know it's not, but it just it just looks like a good time.
Yeah.
I actually do have a story about that too. Okay. So when I was in residency doing my research, they had a casting call, open call. You know what I mean? Where you don't have to have experience, et cetera. And so the people I was working in the lab with say, hey, let's put together a headshot for you, and you go on down there. You know, they just want a woman, middle-aged, and no experience necessary. I'm like, that's totally me. So I go down to downtown, and I go in this room, and there are clearly some very talented people in this room. You know how I know? Because I looked at the lady's resume next to me, and I saw Alvin Ailey dancers on there, and I thought, okay, I'm definitely in the wrong room. I need to just get up and because my resume talks all about, you know, biology majors and things like that in research. And
you didn't know how to tap at the time?
No,
not
I
yet.
did not. And then to make matters worse is that after I sat there for 45 minutes, I realized that there was a script when you signed in that I was supposed to be perusing and practicing while we waited. And I saw it 2 minutes before they called me in. So not only am I the least experienced person there, I'm also the least prepared because of what they even had out in front of us. And I went in, and I did it, and they called me back.
What?
I got a call back.
Okay.
I did.
Look at you.
I know.
You must have a photographic memory or something.
Yeah, it ended right there. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I got the call back, but they were really on to me by then that I really didn't have talent. So.
Yeah, you couldn't fake that
He must
anymore
have
either,
been
could you?
He must have been talking to my mother. Yeah. She didn't have talent.
Right.
No, they were concerned that I didn't have the time to show up and be present because they said that's the way things happen. We all have to be together
So what was this for?
for the magic to happen.
What was this for? You
I
said it was
don't
an
know.
open casting. You don't know.
It was for some local production there
Okay.
in Louisville.
Got it.
But I never. They said we'll keep your name and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting. Yeah, right.
I was about to say.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a little bit, right?
That's
yeah.
industry talk for.
They probably changed my number.
We'll find somebody else. Yeah.
It's not you, it's us,
Right.
kind of thing. Yeah.
So if this audience was full of young women,
Yes.
what advice would you give them? What advice would have helped you as a younger woman?
One of the things that I really wish I understood better is that there's not such a hurry to get where you're going. Slow down. It's okay. Things will happen. They take time, but that's okay. I wouldn't be so stressed about meeting some deadlines that I thought really mattered. Even if they were just psychological deadlines. I'm going to be married by this time, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be this far in my career, et cetera. I just wish I relaxed more.
Okay.
Relax.
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 Okay. Take that undue pressure off.
Take it off.
Because it is something that we put onto ourselves, right?
Yes, and other people put it on us too.
Oh, sure.
So you guys are married. When are you going to have kids, huh? What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
You're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
We do that. The society does it to us. And particularly to women, I think. Because so much of that is wrapped up with fertility, like the ability to procreate and having a window in which to do it.
Yeah. If you were to be able to meet anyone who is still living, who would you want to meet?
Still living. I thought about this before, but at the time he wasn't dead. It was
Oh.
it was Sidney Poitier, and he just died fairly recently. But I guess I'm interested in. I like Condoleezza Rice. I think she's
Okay.
brilliant. I'm not saying I agree with all of her politics, but
Right.
as a statesman, I think she's pretty phenomenal.
Is politics in your future by any chance?
Oh, not at all.
Oh, not at all.
No, no.
Didn't
right.
you love that answer?
Exactly. Mm-mm. I hope you're listening, Condoleezza.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Just think she's brilliant.
If you were to travel anywhere in the world, where would you travel to? What's on your bucket list?
Let's see. I think probably Italy. But I really enjoyed Barcelona this last summer, and because it was such a hodgepodge of all of them. So probably Italy, and then maybe Iceland too,
Okay.
to see the Northern Lights.
So you haven't seen those yet?
I haven't.
See, I want to see them too.
Have you?
No, I haven't, but I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand there's some other places in the United States you can see them, but I'm not sure where that is. But I like to experience those things. But
Yeah. So as far as when you said experience, is there any experience that you would like to have that you haven't yet, such as jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, or something along those lines?
yeah, kind of extreme. Yeah,
Or,
no.
or not?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I've already thought about the plane thing. Like,
Okay.
I'm not going to ever deliberately jump out of a perfectly good plane. Now, plane's going down. Okay, you can maybe
Maybe,
convince me. Right, exactly. I think I've kind of gotten away from the kind of wild, extreme things that many people have. Bungee jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like going to a Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. I mean, is there anything like, anything along those lines? Doesn't have to be extreme.
Well, I want to throw out a first pitch.
Oh,
I
okay.
really actually tried to do that as Miss Texas, or to just even have an appearance there. Also, since I'm, Miss All of Texas, I wanted to do it at the Houston Rangers game too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
I said Houston Rangers.
You did. But
Astros.
yeah.
Yeah, you know who I'm
I
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, but and they were the world champions. It would have been great, but I guess they didn't think I could get the ball across the plate. But I actually am a very good athlete.
Yeah. Did you practice?
I
Throwing it
practiced
that far?
in the OR because in the OR, not
They
in the
throw
OR.
baseballs in
right.
the OR, y'all.
I didn't throw an exit, but they said, listen, you don't even know how far it is from this point to home plate. That's why people can't get it there. And I'm like, well, let's measure that. So we tried to estimate in the hall. They said, you see where John is standing down there? You got to get the ball all the way down there. I'm like, I can do it. And not only am I going to do it, I'm going to actually look off the runner on first base. I'm going to do a
Okay.
behind the back leg up. I
Right.
was going to do the whole thing.
Did,
I think I could have. No, it
you
wasn't-
didn't actually.
No,
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to
Yeah.
it. And I didn't have a
You
ball
think
in the
you could've.
OR, but that was my plan.
Yeah.
And it's not too late if anybody ever wants me to throw out a first pitch. I will still do it for you. Anybody? Anybody?
So that's why I ask those questions. So
Yeah.
I love to help people connect with other people that make things happen.
Can you
So
help me
we
get a
can
first
s-
pitch?
We can see. I know people at the Rangers, not at the Houston Rangers.
Not
but
the
at
Houston Rangers.
Texas Rangers.
Those Houston Rangers, you never know
Yeah,
about
you
them.
know, you never know.
Right.
But yeah, so I do know people, and I know people who know people. So it's
Right.
about making connections in life.
Yes,
Like,
it absolutely
it's about
is.
all in who you know and making those connections for other people. So I
They're still
appreciate you
playing
sharing
too.
that. That's right.
The Rangers are doing very well.
They
Yay,
are. They made it to the playoffs.
Rangers!
Yeah, okay, the Rangers, yeah, for sure.
That's our team. Right.
Well, fantastic. Well, as we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to share with me and the audience that maybe I didn't ask you, that you were hoping that I would ask, or something additional that you'd like to share?
I would always want to leave this one message. I think a lot of times, this might be a two-parter. Have you ever watched Focus on the Family? There's, Chuck Swindoll and so forth. They always have something very enlightening there. And one day I was driving, and Chuck Swindoll said, most of us remember the day that we were born. But a lot of people don't know why they were born. And as I was driving along that day, it was July 28th, 2021, the 3 months before I turned 60. I thought about it and I realized why I was born that day. And I knew then that I was born to care for others. I knew that's why I was born. And I don't just mean my patients, my mother, my sisters. That's my role, and I love it. I've loved it, and I know that's why I was born. I know for which I was born. And it is a joy to be able to realize that you are living out your purpose. And the last thing I want to say is that screening mammograms save lives. They make a difference. They are not perfect. They are the best we have. But if you combine screening mammograms with self-breast examination monthly and annual clinician exam, you are going to find your cancers early and treatable so that you can go on and live out your days, which for right now, for women, is about 85 years old.
Fantastic. Thank you. Y'all, wasn't she great? I mean, what a great guest, and thank you so much for being here and sharing your message, sharing part of your story. I know there's so much more we could have dug into and uncovered and discovered, but I just appreciate you being here, and I want to wish you all the best as you go to the Miss Senior Texas America, I guess,
Yes,
Miss
Senior America
pageant.
right.
There we go.
That's fine.
I'll get it right here in a minute.
Right. Hope
Yeah,
to see
wish
you
all
later
the
this
best.
month.
Yeah, and
Maybe
I will see
later
you in
this
Richardson.
month. October 28th.
There we go.
Okay,
There
put
we
it on
go.
your calendars. It's 1 o'clock because we all need naps when we're done. It's not in the evening, okay?
All right. Well, thank you so much,
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Quinn.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the studio audience for being here. Thank you to Nico Blue for supplying some goodie bags for our audience members. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, please tune in next week as we have another fascinating person with an inspiring story here on the Matt Hilton Show. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and share and promote and do all the things. And I would love to see more of you here in the studio audience. So so be on the lookout for when we are taping so that you can be here and be a part of it all. Thank you and have a great day. Bye, y'all.
Almost 20 years of real estate experience in the North Texas area, the professional realtors at Hilton Realty Advisors have helped over 500 clients with their housing needs. Hilton Realty Advisors covers all areas of real estate: buying, selling, building, investing, and renting. We deliver the keys to homeownership to all through integrity, love,